What we'll do, I'll give you what I know. Basically, I run down the facts and a couple of other pieces of information that I have that we've gathered through the day. Just some facts on what happened last night, how we progressed through the night, what we know as far as loss and everything goes, businesses affected. Take a couple questions and we'll call it a day. Sound good? Last night at 5:22 in the afternoon, we were dispatched for a report of a building fire in the area of South Cameron and Hannah Streets. We had crews in the Uptown District that were actually going to pick up one of our reserve tower trucks, and at that time when it was dispatched, they saw smoke and fire visible from McClay Street in the Uptown. At the 1724 hours, we immediately struck the first alarm, followed by a second alarm 3 minutes later, and then we struck the third alarm at the 1747 hours. The reason we struck so many alarms, we had a large industrial complex that was on fire. The fire originated in the back of Hebron Incorporated, which is a company that cuts up cars and sells the parts to overseas partners. The fire was started due to an arc igniting gasoline vapors at the back of the building. They were transferring gasoline from a fuel tank into another fuel tank. There was an electrical arc. The vapors were ignited. There was a significant flash fire, and the fire quickly spread with the available gasoline in the standing tanks that were at the rear of the building. The other affected businesses, we actually have Hebron Incorporated. If you look at the map, they have two of the parcels. Kings Hall Bingo was affected. The Volunteers of America have a storage facility. Furniture Man LLC was affected. Tres Hermanos Restaurant and Store. Crafty Antiques. And then the owner of the property of the entire complex, with the exception of the Tres Hermanos, is United Investment Properties, and they have a small office in the front. They actually own a significant portion of the complex and then lease it out to the various businesses. As I said, the cause was an electrical arc with the gasoline vapors. We estimated, just looking at the insurance and preliminary estimates for the dollar loss, is at $2.8 million for the buildings, $1.12 million for the contents, and that's the contents of not only Hebron but also Tres Hermanos and the other businesses that were affected because of their product was smoke damage and water damaged, for a total estimated loss of approximately $3.92 million. That number, I would expect, as we start to talk to the insurance companies, will go up slightly once they start figuring out what the costs associated with cleanup and things like that are. There will be costs not associated with product, as far as the cleanup and things like that go, that do get fairly costly when you're looking at an industrial complex like this. Early on in the fire, as you can see, the walls of the building started to collapse. Being an industrial complex, there was no life hazard. We were not going to send anybody inside of a building that was prone to fall down on top of us. So we did what was called a defensive operation and put master streams into the building to try and control the fire. We had some fire breaks in the building that you can see behind us that did a significant job for us in keeping the fire from spreading to the adjoining properties. While the fire did penetrate, we were able to keep that fire at bay with some hand lines in the unaffected buildings. However, we did across, you can see a sister building to this one did also have some roof collapse, and that was due in part because the fire was coming out the northern side of the building up into the eaves of that adjoining building, and we ended up having a roof collapse over there as well. I've talked with the owners of the building today, and they're working with our insurance company, so we're unsure right now as to what the process going forward is going to be for them. Whether they're going to rebuild or try and salvage, that'll all be up to the insurance companies. We had, at the height of the fire, we were putting approximately 6,000 gallons of water per minute on it, which is a significant volume of water. Significant building means significant water, so we needed a significant water supply. We had about 6,600 feet of hose that totally inundated the greater Harrisburg area with traffic yesterday. We were using hydrants from down at Cameron and Sycamore, 13th and Paxton, Cameron and Berry Hill streets, and a hydrant in front of the Dodge City restaurant, as well as one that was right in front of the building out here. So we had a lot of water being put on the fire, and we needed a lot of water to support that. City apparatus, we had 7 pieces of Harrisburg City apparatus on scene. 15 firefighters were working last night, the 14 and 1. And we recalled 20 firefighters that come in for recall after the second alarm was struck at 17:27 hours. We had 16 pieces of apparatus from mutual aid companies respond in that had approximately 64 personnel assigned to them. We did call in a rehab unit from the Creekside Fire Company on the West Shore, and they provided hot dogs and sodas and coffee and donuts and things like that for the responders, because we were here for an extended period of time. We didn't clear the scene last night fully until 10 minutes till 1 in the morning, so we were here for an extended period of time, just mopping up the hot spots. We had a lot of difficulty because of the roof structure collapsing. A lot of the things that were on fire were underneath of that roof structure, and we weren't able to get the fire streams onto that. So it took a lot of chasing the fire underneath that structure to get it put out, and we finally did get it put out. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that we weren't back here for a small rekindle overnight. But we haven't had anything happen today, so we're very happy about that. The crews did a tremendous job on arrival. As I said, we had fire through the roof of the building. Portions of the walls were already collapsing, and we took a defensive stance. We took our time getting the apparatus placed correctly so that we could get, in the event that we had all 4 buildings on fire, all 4 portions of the buildings on fire, that we had apparatus placed, that we didn't have to move it in case of a collapse, and that we were well prepared if the fire spread our way, and we're able to do a tremendous job of cutting it off. With that, I will answer any questions.
Did the closing of Shive Oak Station have an impact on battling this fire at all?
Look, we had 20-some pieces of fire apparatus. Only a large city such as Philadelphia or New York would have been able to handle this fire without mutual aid. So, one piece of apparatus in this instance didn't cause us any great concern. And in fact, it was staffed with. We actually had 2 reserve pieces staffed with recall personnel once they come in. So that worked out effectively this time around.
Have you heard anything about when these businesses may be able to get back open? I mean, when are they going to be open for business again?
I was talking with the owner of Trace Hermanos today. I helped him with his insurance claim, and that's going to be up to the insurance companies. They have to come in, adjust things, determine how much product's there, what's salvageable, what's not salvageable. And then we also got to look at the buildings from a building code standpoint and determine which ones are we're going to allow to occupy. Obviously, they're going to have the building engineers come in and determine what the process is going forward.
Speaking of codes, was there any previous inspections regarding this building and regarding the fuel storage here?
We had a vehicle fire here a couple of years ago, and unfortunately, I have really no information on that to pass forward. And at this time, we have no code violations on the building that are current. So that I can say with certainty. I know that there were some concerns with runoff and things like that. I can tell you we had DEP here last night, as well as Dauphin County Hazmat. DEP monitored the water, and Hazmat also was monitoring the water and actually up-channeled it to DEP just to ensure that we were not having a significant amount of water runoff into Spring Creek or into the Paxton Creek or into the Susquehanna River. They also made contacts with the sewage authority to ensure that they were prepared for anything coming their way as well.
When you're running into a situation like this and there's a warehouse and there's chemicals inside the warehouse, I mean, sometimes water can react adversely to some chemicals. I mean, were you prepared? Did you know what you were fighting when you were here?
Quite frankly, we didn't know what we were fighting when we got here. We knew that there was vehicles involved. We knew that there was vehicle storage involved, and we knew that there were chemicals. We did not know what those chemicals were. We just took it, and again, as I said, we took a very proactive stance. We slowed down. We got everything right, got the apparatus placed right so that we were outside of the collapse zone, so that when the wall started to collapse, we weren't endangering the apparatus. And in the event that we needed to back out if something, would have happened, we were able to do that as well.
Is this what, as far as cleanup, is this going to take months, possibly a year?
The cleanup is going to be all relying upon the insurance companies. Once they come out, they're going to send their adjusters out and start subcontracting everything out from the insurance perspective. it could start happening as soon as the next couple of days, and it could take several weeks and months to get it fully cleaned up.
Chief, can you explain more about the cause? I don't quite understand how the electrical arc is generated close to this.
Okay, there was an arc, and we're unsure as to how the arc occurred. The gentleman that was inside the building, explained that there was an arc inside by the gas that he was pumping out. Gasoline, the vapors were, because of the spillage of the gasoline, the vapors immediately ignited from that arc. And everything that was told to us is collaborated with video and things like that we've seen from the scene. So
So the arc come from like an electrical outlet? Or-
exactly, it was an electrical arc, correct.
Do you know at least generally where about in here it started?
The back where the police line is right now, that is the area of the building where the fire started.
Are you at all surprised that no one was hurt?
We had 5 minor injuries to firefighters. We had a significant wall collapse early on, and it narrowly missed 2 firefighters, narrowly missed trapping 2 firefighters. Both of them were hurt, had minor injuries. One was Achilles tendon, one to his shoulder. We had our on-duty battalion chief twisted his ankle in the alleyway between the buildings, and we had a couple of other minor injuries, but nothing that required transport from the scene. And that we're, quite frankly, we are extremely thankful for, because the last thing we want to do is have any of our personnel or our mutual aid personnel hurt or killed in a fire like this.
Was everyone evacuated when you all arrived? I mean, just looking at the magnitude of this fire, I'm surprised that no one was hurt inside. None of the workers.
When we were dispatched, we were told that everybody was out on dispatch. The caller was actually the gentleman inside. There was a short period of time last night when that gentleman was unaccounted for, and there were some concerns there, but we were able to find his whereabouts and account for him there.
Are you concerned on how the city tracks, I guess, the chemicals stored in such warehouses? I mean, if you guys have warehouse fires and not know what you're getting into, I mean, that poses a danger.
The tracking and storage of chemicals all goes back to SARA Title III and Title II reporting, which is mandated by the county and the state, and actually the federal government as well. And any industrial complex or business in the city, or quite frankly, the country is supposed to be reporting back to the authority having jurisdiction with those quantities of chemicals they have, the storage of them, and what they're storing, and they're supposed to do that on a yearly basis.
Chief, just taking a look at this, it's pretty daunting, man. I couldn't even imagine the task you had in front of you yesterday. Can you just tell us how you're feeling the day after? Minor injuries to firefighters, no casualties?
As we look at the damage, it's we have one building that is totally decimated by the fire. But all in all, when we have 5 minor injuries, I don't want any injuries, but 5 minor ones, we'll take that. And I think the troops did one heck of a job keeping the fire at bay and not burning the entire block down. That goes to show the professionalism of not only our fire department and our personnel, but also the mutual aid partners that we have and our ability to work together.
So this they still not entirely sure how the initial electrical arc is
Right.
generated. Is that still
We're not sure exactly how the initial arc was generated, and quite frankly, we'll probably never know what the cause of that was, of that arc was.
As you can tell, it's gonna be
Right, correct.
Chief, nobody was actively welding or cutting a vehicle at the time?
Not to the best of my knowledge. We haven't been told about anybody welding or cutting inside at all yesterday. We know that happens, but we don't know that it was going on yesterday.
I missed the start. So, but
That's fine.
you said that a guy was pumping gas out of a vehicle.
Yeah, they what they would do as they got vehicles in, they take the gas tanks off of them, which normally have fuel on. They would take them to the back of the building and pump that gasoline out of the small vehicle tank into a larger holding tank of approximately 275 gallons. And there were several of those at the back of the building. And that's the area of the building where the fire started.
It was 275 gallons of gas.
Well, I can't give you how much gasoline was in any of the tanks. What I know professionally is a fuel oil tank, which is what they're using, holds 275 gallons of fuel oil. So
and that's what you believe ignited.
Right. There was an electrical arc as they were pumping that gasoline, and it ignited the gasoline vapors, which precipitated the significant event that occurred.
Layman's terms, for an electrical arc, I'm thinking of a spark.
A spark, yep, absolutely, a spark. Sometimes when you unplug your iron from the house outlet, you get that little arc. That is enough for gasoline vapor to ignite. So that's all it takes.
Chief, what were all the explosions? There was like numerous explosions.
Yeah, we had numerous explosions. I know one significant explosion ended up bringing part of the wall down. And that was just a storage of the chemicals inside, the gases inside. We had acetylene we were dealing with, propane, and a host of other things, I'm sure. And understand that there were gas tanks from the car still inside, so some of those were lighting off as well. And that was the significant explosions that we were hearing throughout the beginning stages of the fire.
Do you know, to Dave's point about the chemical, the right to know stuff, do you know if Hebron Incorporated is in compliance on that?
What I can tell you is I'm the repository for the Tier 2 reporting for the city, and I have not received any reports from Hebron this year for that reporting. I have not checked with Dauphin County to see if they've received anything from them or not.
Do you think in past years maybe that this wasn't being reported properly?
I think we can say that a lot of things in the city go unreported properly. Some of that is a lack of communications on our part over the last several years, and some of that is a lack of the ability of the business owners to know all the laws and standards that they need to meet.
I guess who does that fall? Does that fall on the fire department? Does that fall on codes?
It falls a little bit on everybody. It falls on DEP, it falls on codes, and it does fall on the fire inspector as well. So yeah, it's a multifaceted, responsibility, if you will. The bottom line is, as any property owner or business owner within any municipality, you're responsible for knowing, what codes and standards you must live up to and maintaining those, even unchecked.
Chief, do you know if Hebron Incorporated had ever filed a report?
That I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that I don't. I'm just speaking from 2014, correct.
Do you have any idea how long this business has been here?
That I don't. That I'm not sure of either. I know they've been here several years, at least 4 or 5 years. Beyond that, I'm not 100% sure.
Aside from that, I mean, is there any? Do you believe there's any kind of criminal negligence, criminal culpability for this fire?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not in law enforcement. I'm not a lawyer, and I have no idea if there could be any culpability there or not.
Yeah, I mean, you're calling it an accidental fire.
It's an accidental. In my book, in the fire investigator's book, it is an accidental fire. There was no malicious setting of the fire, so it is considered accidental.